So you got to be careful in your words, because the very words you use, DL, they're going to come back, and they're coming back to you, baby.
Much love to Shannon Sharpe.
Yes.
Good brother. Thank you for allowing Monique to come on the platform.
Shay Shay is getting messier and messier. It's almost like Wendy Williams didn't go.
DL Hughley just got checked by Katt Williams, and even a few others jumped in. And now the internet can't stop talking about it. This isn't just another comedian beef. This one runs deep. It's about power, influence, and who's really pulling the strings in the new media era. And right in the middle of this storm, Shannon Sharpe, the man who went from tackling quarterbacks to tackling celebrity egos on one of the most viral shows in culture, Club Shay Shay. Reason
I had to come is because you made a safe place for the truth to be told. You know?
People are calling him untouchable. And after what just went down between DL Hughley and Katt Williams, it's starting to look like they might be right. So here's how it all kicked off. DL Hughley, the comedy legend, radio host, and self-proclaimed truth-teller, decided to speak on Shannon Sharpe's show. And let's just say he didn't hold back.
It got to be too messy. And I said it out loud. I think for a while, Club Shay Shay was like Wendy Williams with a weight set. Like, damn, this dude, I mean, it was messy. The reason that those people went on Club Shay Shay in its first iteration before it became successful is because we saw what he did. And the reason I was going to go on it is because we saw what Skip did.
He dropped one simple line that sparked chaos online. I ain't going on Club Shay Shay, that show's messy, boom. That single sentence lit up every timeline because everyone knows Club Shay Shay ain't just some podcast anymore. It's a whole movement. It's where stars, rappers, and icons pull up to drop bombshells and speak their truth loud and unfiltered.
I said I was a journalist. I never professed to be a journalist. I'm an entertainer. If you want hard-hitting questions, 60 Minutes is the plan.
It's where Katt Williams gave the explosive interview that sent shock waves through Hollywood. The one that had comedians whispering and execs sweating. So when DL made that comment, fans instantly saw it as shade. Like he was saying Shannon's show was just gossip and chaos instead of real conversation.
I said any number of things about the way Skip sunned him.
Is that when he said, put your glass back on or something like that?
That was so horrible to me that I think a lot of people were determined to help this black man be successful because of what had happened to him. And to kind of curate all that have that place that they worked so hard for you to have so you would have your own space be just an amalgamation and curate all the bull that is happening in our community seemed insulting to me.
And that's when Katt Williams stepped in, ready for war. Because if there's one man who never holds his tongue, it's Katt.
The reason I had to come is because you made a safe place for the truth to be told.
No filters, no fake smiles, no fear, just pure uncut truth. And when he heard DL downplay Club Shay Shay, Katt didn't just clap back, he torched him. He basically said, Shannon Sharpe is untouchable. You don't get to disrespect a black man who's built his own empire from scratch without begging Hollywood for permission. That hit like thunder because it cut straight to the real point. Building your own lane matters in this new media world. Shannon really did what folks didn't expect. He left polished studio lights, started a podcast from the ground up, and flipped it into the hottest stage in culture without kissing any corporate rings. No middleman, no gatekeepers, just work, vision, and consistency.
Initially, I was going to do it, and it kept my schedule. It just didn't work out, but I'm glad.
And to Katt Williams, that's sacred, like a temple you don't play with. That kind of independent grind deserves respect, not side-eye. So when DL called it messy, he wasn't just poking at a podcast. He was low-key dismissing a whole movement built on ownership and truth.
I don't be doing no fighting lately. You know, there's only one other option. If you don't fight, you do blank, blank, blank.
Let's keep it real. DL Hughley is a legend who earned his stripes and helped shape the game. No question, he's a certified king of comedy and one of the true OGs. But sometimes OGs forget the rules switched up while they were winning yesterday's battles. This isn't the early 2000s anymore. It's the era of podcast clips and raw authenticity. And Shannon adapted quicker than most. He doesn't just host. He engineers moments that spin timeline and set the culture's agenda. When Katt came through and aired out Hollywood, that wasn't content. That was a cultural quake that had late-night TV looking quiet while Club Shay trended everywhere. So when a heavyweight like DL throws shade at that, it reads less like critique and more like resentment to a lot of fans. But look deeper. This isn't only ego. It's a clash between legacy media habits and the new rules of independent power. When DL called Club Sha messy, what he really meant was that Shannon Sharpe's interviews hit too close to home, too unfiltered, too raw, too real. The kind of talk that makes powerful people sweat. He said, "I don't want to sit somewhere and have my words chopped up and used for clicks." And to be fair, he's not wrong. That's how media runs these days. Clips explode online, context disappears, and one quote can flip your whole image overnight. But here's the twist. That same system that scares the old school stars. It's what keeps everyone else relevant. In this new digital jungle, silence doesn't protect you anymore. It erases you. Playing it safe means fading into the background while the bold voices run the conversation. So, while DL might be guarding his legacy, Katt Williams and this new wave are guarding their freedom. Katt said it best. You can't call a man messy just because he gives people a voice. That line hit deep because what Shannon and Katt are doing isn't gossip. It's liberation through conversation. They're creating spaces where people can finally speak without a script. DL represents that older generation, the polished media era where every word was rehearsed and every move approved. But Shannon, Katt, and the new school creators, they're built different. They're unapologetic, emotional, real, and loud about it. They don't ask for seats at the table. They build their own. That's why Katt says Shannon Sharpe is untouchable. When you build something the system doesn't control, nobody can pull the plug. You can't be cancelled if you own the mic. And that's what's really shaking the room. This isn't just a small spat between comedians. It's a cultural shift happening live. Shannon Sharpe went from ex-NFL star to kingmaker, turning Club Shay into the place where careers explode and Hollywood myths crumble. And when that kind of power lands in the hands of someone the system didn't choose, best believe the old guard starts to panic. That's exactly what Katt Williams was calling out. He said, "Y'all spent decades begging for a seat at their table. Shannon built his own table. And now y'all mad he didn't invite you first." That line shook the whole internet because that's the difference right there. What DL calls messy, Katt calls revolutionary. Let's unpack that because Shannon Sharpe's rise is nothing short of cinematic. This man was a Hall of Fame athlete, a legend on the field who could have stayed cozy doing sports talk for the rest of his life. But instead of coasting, he switched lanes completely and built something real. When he walked away from Undisputed with Skip Biss, critics laughed and said he'd fade out. They thought his career was done. But then Club Shay exploded. Not slowly, not gradually, overnight it became the spot. Suddenly, the biggest names were lining up to pull up. Steve Harvey, Monique, Katt Williams, Denzel Washington. And every interview hit harder than the last. Shannon turned long-form talks into cultural moments. He didn't just ask questions. He gave people space to reclaim their stories. That's power. So when DL tried to play it off like it was messy, it struck a nerve with fans everywhere. Because Shannon isn't out here chasing clout. He's documenting the culture as it happens. Giving a platform to voices the mainstream ignored. To people like Katt Williams, that's sacred ground. That's legacy work. But here's where it gets spicy. This isn't the first time DL Hughley's been accused of gatekeeping. He's had his fair share of beefs over the years. Remember when he went at Kanye West or when he had words for a Monique? He's even thrown shade at younger comedians and influencers trying to do things their own way. It's like every time the culture evolves, DL shows up calling it messy instead of progress. And that's exactly why fans say Katt checked him this time. Because when a guy like Katt Williams, who's been battling Hollywood's system for decades, steps up to defend someone, it's never just gossip. It's about principle. Katt dropped it plain and simple. Don't knock another black man for building his own lane just because it ain't your kind of lane. And that's pure truth. No filter, no politics, just facts. Now let's keep it real and give DL some credit. He's not coming from hate. He's coming from fear. The man's been in this game long enough to know how fast the internet can flip on you. He's seen fame turn sour, careers crash overnight, and reputations vanish over one wrong soundbite. He's watched people get cancelled over interviews that went viral for the wrong reasons. So, when DL says he doesn't trust podcasts like Club Shay Shay, what he's really saying is, I don't trust what the internet does with our words. And honestly, that's fair. The internet has no mercy. It clips, twists, and replays your worst 5 seconds a million times. But what DL might not realize is that Shannon Sharpe isn't his enemy. He's the evolution. That's what makes this whole situation so powerful. It's not just two comedians talking. It's the clash between two eras. DL Hughley represents legacy, the polished suit and tie generation that built respectability through restraint. Katt Williams and Shannon Sharpe represent disruption, bold voices that refuse to be censored or controlled. And right now, disruption is running the show. Because in 2025, people don't crave media that's perfectly edited. They want something real. They want unfiltered emotion, raw stories, and heroes who speak straight from the soul. Club Shay Shay delivers exactly that. No scripts, no filters, no fear. And that kind of honesty makes the establishment uncomfortable. Now let's talk about that phrase. Shannon Sharpe is untouchable. That's not just internet hype. That's earned respect. Means he built an empire on independence. No corporate leash, no Hollywood approval, no middleman, and just a mic, a platform, and millions of loyal fans who believe in him. That's real power. And that's what makes him dangerous to the old system, because you can't silence someone who doesn't need your backing. Shannon can speak his truth without worrying about sponsors or executives pulling the plug. That's why Katt Williams rides so hard for him. Because in an industry built on control, independence is rare gold. And here's the kicker. Shannon never even dissed DL Hughley. He never fired back, never said a bad word. But the moment DL called his show messy, it lit a cultural firestorm. And in that blaze, Katt Williams made it plain. The gatekeepers don't run this anymore. The new era doesn't wait for permission. Creates its own respect. Katt Williams dropped one more gem that shut the whole debate down. He said, "The real ones ain't waiting for approval no more. We building our own networks now." And that right there, that's what's shaking Hollywood to its core. The system's finally realizing the new media wave isn't being led by the usual insiders. It's being built by people they can't control. People who don't need their platforms or permission anymore. But here's the part no one's really talking about. Shannon Sharpe doesn't just have fame. He's got trust. When Shannon talks, folks lean in. Not because he's perfect or polished, but because he's real. He's emotional, raw, and unafraid to show his flaws. And in an industry built on fake smiles, that's gold. Shannon doesn't play the Hollywood game. He rewrote it. He built a lane where honesty beats PR scripts and where guests feel safe being human, not rehearsed. That's why when DL called him messy, it backfired, because he ended up exposing how out of touch some old school stars have become. People don't want manufactured moments anymore. They want the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it sounds. That's the secret behind Club Shay Shay. It's not about drama. It's about authenticity. And that's exactly what fans crave right now. So yeah, Katt Williams checked DL Hughley and the internet stood right behind him, because deep down everyone could feel it. This wasn't about ego. It was about evolution. Shannon Sharpe is untouchable. Not because he's flawless, but because he's fearless. He built something real, independent, and untamed. And that's power money can't buy. DL might represent the past, but Shannon, he's the future. And Katt Williams, he's the bridge. The loud, unapologetic truth teller who reminds everybody what's real. Katt said it best. Stop talking down on the new wave just because you missed it. And honestly, that might be the most honest line Hollywood's heard all year. This is buzz and drama where we don't sugarcoat it. We break it down raw and real. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Was DL Hughley right to call Club Shay Shay messy? Or is Katt right that Shannon Sharpe's platform is untouchable because it's real? Either way, one thing's clear. The new wave isn't asking for approval.